Hello, everybody.
And welcome back to the Rockin' Beards podcast. It's your boy, HSR.
What up? It's Syd.
And you can follow me on Twitter at HSR514. I don't know if Syd has Twitter.
I don't have Twitter.
So when
Should
Syd,
I get Twitter? I think I have Twitter, actually.
Do you want to tweet Syd? Let us know
once
in the
tweet.
comments.
I don't even remember what my handle is, but I think I have one.
But I'm trying to be like a little more engaging with y'all. So if you want to holler at us and have some conversations and shit, tweet us. And
I have an Instagram. It's Syd Ghan.
Yeah.
And I post on that every now and then, so you can hit me up on Instagram.
He posts very cute Syd pictures where he's like very animated. It's fun. Like that. Anyway, so let's get into a little bit of housekeeping before we start this episode. So we are just a couple of guys who review albums track by track. I decided to start just kind of telling you what this podcast is for those of you who are new. So we're going to go through it, give our opinions. We're not experts. We're just dudes with opinions who, like to express how we feel. So if you're like super musician guy, just take that with a grain of salt as we go through this. And we appreciate any corrections and any kinds of comments. And because of that, we got our favorite comment from last week. And Lindell Williams is going to hold us down and make sure there are comments on any review.
Thanks, Lindell.
Last week, we did Avenged Sevenfold's
City of Evil.
Perfect. And Lindell had to say, I would say, as mentioned in this review, it's not the hardest metal album, but it could be like this type of blueprint for what a metal album is. It could be, in fact, used as an album for the people who are just getting into metal, being that it's not that hard to understand. As far as the verses, it's pretty decent. Good review.
That's what I'm saying. It's an entry point into metal, and it's a perfect kind of launch pad and blueprint for what you're supposed to look for in a metal record. Even though it's not the heaviest, it's not the most extreme, it doesn't have all the blast beats, but it is right there with all of the tropes done exceptionally well.
Yeah. And I really like it, and I gave it a high grade, and you should check out our review of it, and then let us know what you think, and then let us know what you want to see us review in the future. Now, if all goes according to plan, we will have just done our contest giveaway for the Grind to 1,000 subscribers contest.
We hit it. We hit that 1,000.
We are at 1,003 as of recording
right now,
which is it's fucking cool, man. It took so long to get past that point. So you should check out that video if you've commented, liked on any of the past videos, and you subscribed, because you may have fucking won. And if you did win, I've probably messaged you, and this is like me pretending I know what tomorrow is literally gonna bring. So that's what's up.
Stack.
But on the other hand,
50 stack.
We're likely going to have a new contest that follows the exact same format starting very soon. So let's call it the Grind to X at this time. And if you subscribe to the video, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment, you enter in where we're going to give away X amount of Amazon gift card money, and you get to request reviews, and we'll do whatever you pick.
So basically, all the little YouTube money that we'll get is going to go right into your pocket.
How's
that sound?
But as the cool fan of ours, Mozart put it, he's more interested in the reviews. So if you have some obscure, strange-ass album that you want us to cover, that's also on the table. We have to do it. That's the conditions of this contest. So we'll tell you how many people win, what the marks are soon. We're just kind of excited that we fucking did it. So that was just a little celebratory moment, like a real milestone for this channel, in our opinion. On that note, let's just get into this shit.
Get the fuck into it.
Why don't you introduce this one? This is a fucking great album. Introduce
Spoiler alert, opinion-wise. This week, we decided to go the opposite route and pick a record that no other band should ever try to emulate, because you will fail. We are doing System of a Down's Toxicity, eating seeds as a pastime activity.
That's true. I wondered, as you said that, if like a bunch of 19-year-old Armenians could like come in and pull it off, right? Like I just wonder. Like
after Tool came out, everyone and their mother tried to be Tool, right? But no one can be Tool. It's the same thing with System of a Down. Like you're just not gonna hit that nail on the head.
But there could be like an offshoot that's equally cool, that's inspired by, because like if
I thought you were gonna throw a rhyme in there.
Maybe
it's equally cool. It's kind of like Tool.
No, but like I was thinking, like if Oasis is kind of like a cool offshoot to the Beatles, then maybe somebody
30 years later and still with their own unique spin.
I'm being hopeful that the coolness doesn't die. Okay, I like System of a Down.
System of a Down to come out with a new album. Just
like,
throwing that out there.
As far as like albums go that we've covered on this channel, this might be the second most one I'm familiar with, like, of all of them. And I mean, I'm talking more familiar than the Eminem albums I heard and everything, because one of my favorite albums when I was like 13 and beyond for a very long time was none other than System of a Down's Toxicity. And we are talking the era pre-Spotify, pre-YouTube, where I had my physical copy of the disc. So you had no choice but to go 1 through 14 and play it through. I mean, you could skip, but I mean, you just... In this case, there wasn't much to skip, in my opinion. Spoiler alert. But, like, I listened to it so many times. But why I bring that up is because I understand a fucking thing on this album when I was a teenager, right? So this was, like, coming back to it, and, like, I spent a lot more time, like, focusing on what the songs were about. So I'm really excited to actually get into this one with you. But I'm no musical expert and shit. I'm just a fan of this album, revisiting it after a really long time. And all of my nostalgia loves this shit from the beginning. So that's my pure bias kicking in right now. And I'm just telling you from the jump so that you're not surprised later on in the comments and whatnot. How about you? How connected are you to this album?
Oh, man. I think the first... I don't even remember the first time I heard System of a Down. They have just kind of like always been there. Like bands I was in throughout high school and throughout CEGEP college in Canada in Montreal. We're all everyone I've ever known, every musician I've ever worked with has just been super influenced by System of a Down. It's rare. It's been rare for me to meet someone who doesn't like them.
You know what? I'll admit to trying to learn how to play Chop Suey at one point.
Yeah, I mean,
like, I'll admit that I tried.
I mean, Toxicity was one of the first riffs that I ever learned. I think the first record of theirs that I picked up was the first one.
With like spiders on
spiders
it.
And
it's the only album. It's the only album of theirs I've never heard is that black one. I think it's the black covered one
with the hand.
Yeah.
It's a really good album. It's really fucking heavy. Even in comparison to Toxicity. It's really fucking heavy. But it's a great album, and it's worth a listen. It's not what we're talking about today, so I'll end that there.
Yeah.
But this album I think is pretty timeless. This was the one that kind of propelled them into superstardom with Chop Suey, because they had a modicum of fame before it, but this is the one that really solidified them as like the alt metal legends.
They'd also met a certain friend who helped them push ahead a little bit on the production angle for this album.
Who produced this?
It's a Mr. Rick Rubin.
Mr. Rick Rubin.
Oh my gosh, there's this Verified Genius annotation by Rick Rubin where he's talking about how he discovered System of a Down. He's like, listen, man, everyone was like shitting on them or whatever. They had this like tiny little core fan base. People didn't really accept them because they didn't break the mold. And then he saw these crazy Armenians on stage ripping shit away and the most talented and interesting things. Like, I knew these guys were going to be stars. You know, he's like, you know how Rick is. He's like, I knew it.
Yeah.
I made you famous. But like, it was really cool to see that because I didn't even know. And then after that, they fucking, well, you guys know what happened. I mean, I think Hypnotize and Mesmerize are fucking mega albums. That's when they got Grammys. They got nominations here. They got Grammys over there, you know? So,
but keep in mind, for the metal world, Grammys don't matter.
Yeah, but...
Because if you get a Grammy nom, it's kind of like, thanks.
Yeah, but System of a Down transcends average, is I guess where I'm going from.
Yes, they do. They are, I think, one of... I think they're that generation's... I hesitate to say Pantera.
Okay.
But, like, I think they're, like, that generation's, like, Megadeth.
But, like...
Or, like...
I feel like they're cool enough to appreciate the value of a Grammy, you know? Like, they're not that pretentious. I think they're
cool enough not to.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, they can appreciate the value of it. They don't have to like the system to understand that it's actually a compliment to win one of those things if you can pull it off. Anyway, that's not really what y'all are here for. Let us know what you think.
Fuck the Grammys.
And if I'm wrong about the Serge's attitude about this, fucking tell me. I'd love to watch that interview. I'd love to hear what they have to think. I'm open to being wrong. I do love this album cover. I never really looked at it. It's like this decayed Hollywood fucking background.
Except it says Toxicity instead of Hollywood.
System of a Down as the Hollywood sign, and like Toxicity is like the blood red dripping letters in the bottom.
It actually looks like something that I now know how to make on Photoshop. So since I've had to up my Photoshop skills for work, I'm a little less impressed with it. Okay. But it is something that you're always going to recognize, right?
Keep in mind, like 2001.
Yeah, and it is
right before 9/11.
Right before, eh?
Right before. It was because they
In
pulled.
before.
I believe
In
they
before.
they had to pull Chop Suey. We'll get there, but whatever. Spoiler. They had to pull Chop Suey off the airways
do remember
because
that.
the towers
Yeah.
fell, and the self-righteous suicide line was a little bit much in light of the situation as far as the weak are concerned. I never understood that shit. That's just me. I am a little bit cold in those regards. Don't trust my compassion and empathy in that area. Sorry, not that sorry. Still, let's Toxicity is a great name. It's
It's a good name.
It's definitely a state of mind that's rampant these days. It's a real
Yeah.
thing. There's a certain degree of prophetic nature to this album, I would say, actually looking at it thematically in 2018.
I mean, I will say that this is a record that definitely still stands up 100%. Lyrically, musically, I mean,
it's
we're
just a
sitting here. We're sitting
prison
here
song.
summarizing
Prison
the
song.
album.
Prison song.
Following direction to
All right, Syd, talk to us about this opener.
So I've seen, I've had the good fortune to have seen System of a Down live twice now.
Okay.
And both times they started with this. And it's just that duh.
And it just pauses. And it's
Dun,
about
dun, dun, dun,
it's
dun,
a
dun.
longer pause than he gave it. It's about
Yeah.
2 seconds easy.
It's a beautiful opener on an album. It's a beautiful opener live. I don't know that I've ever heard. I'm gonna shit praise all over this thing. It's one of the best album openers I've ever heard.
It's amazing.
Hands down. It just starts things off with a bang and like right away just hooks. Right, I buy my crack, my smack, my bitch right here in Hollywood. Like it's not melodic, but it's a vocal.
Which is a really good, like, lyrically, that is a good counter to what the rest of the song is
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah. Like it's a good back and forth. And this is the first record where Darren was singing on the
Right.
record. He didn't sing on the previous record.
He's got such a fucking cool, distinct voice.
He has a very unique voice. I think this is probably the first record where he contributed any songwriting as well. I could be wrong about that. Let me know. But I mean, this song in terms of subject matter is, I mean,
I got it. I got the whole thing documented. I'm so excited.
Holden will hit you with that. But I think it's pretty cut and dry. There's not a lot of room for interpretation on this one. They throw a lot of statistics at you. But in a way that's not like
Throw a couple.
you don't have to be like a hippie or like a heavy political person to enjoy this song. You can just enjoy the tongue-in-cheek manner, and the album is very tongue-in-cheek in general. And the song really starts it off well, and there's a sonic theme that runs through the album as well. It's very heavy. This was before they were tuned for you music heads down to drop C, so that's CGCFAD.
I got that.
On the guitars.
Makes sense.
On Mesmerize and Hypnotize, they tuned up half a step. So that's why that record is that's the only reason that record sounds a little less heavy than these first three. But this song is just a 5-on-5. It's so good.
Totally agree.
I that's it. That's all I've got to say. Holden, explain.
Yeah, no, but even just to the point, like, it's not just like the music's heavy, but it's like they're trying to build a prison. Like, there's whispers at the very beginning. Like, I think that's the first thing you hear is Serge Tankian.
Well, you hear duh.
I know, but like in terms of vocals,
Yeah.
delivery, it's like a whisper. And in the pause after that first dun dun dun, noise, and it comes in, and it isn't meant to be melodic. It almost feels like a protest in and of itself, and it gets that this album is gonna mean something, whether or not they mean to mean something every time. You know that they rep something, and that I think is really fucking cool. But what I also think is cool is taking into context that this is written, 2000, 2001, they wrote it, I don't know, I'm just saying writing process. Given what the lyrics are, it's really self-aware and progressive. Like, it's really prophetic almost. It's like, when you think about the shit that we found out later on, it is so impressive that they wrote this song when they did. Hell, I wonder how many people were inspired to, like, find out shit because they heard Prison song. Like, I know my first ever exposure that, prison could even be used in a negative way is this song as a kid, as a young person.
And it's like you kind of want to Google what they're saying, like.
Yeah, Google was starting to come into proper use back then.
Utilizing drugs to pay for secret wars
I got
around
it
the
all
world.
written,
Drugs
bro.
are now your global policy. Now you police the globe. Like,
Well, it's Well, it's fucking interesting. Like they're trying to all research and successful drug policy shows that treatment should be increased
and law enforcement
decreased while abolishing mandatory minimum sentences.
This was actually the first time I learned what a mandatory minimum sentence was.
And then utilizing drugs to pay for secret wars around the world. Drugs are now your global policy. Now you police the globe.
Yeah.
And
this it's like
you gotta
super
really,
dancey little
but you
beat.
gotta really
utilizing drugs
but you gotta really consider what he's saying there. So because you put your war on drugs, this gave the U.S. government an excuse to just invade any country or impose governments and topple shit anytime narco states, or they could just throw labels around like that. Like it's fucking like shit that I learned way later on, and then now that I'm hearing, it's like, wow, man, Serge or whoever wrote it, and maybe Darren too, they really got their shit together. Like, minor drug offenders fill your prisons, you don't even flinch. All our taxes paying for your wars against the new non-rich. Now that I know what the fuck that means, that's the most hip-hop shit ever, you know? Like, it's like so fucking...
It's definitely a very hip-hop minded song, and I think this is a very hip-hop minded record too. But
I don't think it's that it's hip-hop. It's that hip-hop's preaching about social injustice and inequality, and Serge is preaching about social justice and inequality. And it's just weird because he chose to wear a hat that's so different than how we normally hear this exact subject matter.
But the thing is too, at this time, especially metal wasn't really tackling things like this. In the 80s with Metallica, like Master of Puppets was a drug song, right?
Right.
And Justice for All, political records were happening in the punk scene, things like that. But then in the 90s, metal started to get really, really personal with bands like Korn and Limp Bizkit and Deftones. It was all about the inner turmoil and the inner struggle and things you go through as a kid, that kind of thing. And then System of a Down brought that style of metal that they were doing, the like more groove-oriented, slower, less guitar solos, less wank, and put that political mindset to it.
But like even following the rights movement, you clamp down with your iron fist. Like I didn't actually know. I'd always like patch the lyrics because I didn't fully understand it. So actually seeing what it's clear, like saying it's interesting. Like following the rights movement, you clamp down with your iron fists. Drugs became conveniently available for all the kids. And if you look at the crack era, if you look at what happened in Reagan's shit, if you look at like Reagan, it's just magic, man. So on top of being a diverse and alive song, because it doesn't get boring, it's repetitious to a degree, but it's so all over the place, like just like well crafted. Like you never get bored on this ride. I have never disliked the experience of hearing Prison Song for 18 years of my life. 5 on 5. It is beautiful.
Needles.
Yo, so again, I don't know what the song was about. I know this one was a little more obvious, but it was not obvious to young me, who hadn't really been exposed to, like, when I was naive. When I was 18, I was pretty naive. So like a song like this, it wasn't very clear what like the subject matter was. It was only later on in life that a song like this would make more sense.
I think it wasn't all that clear to me either, but at the same time, the imagery provided by a line like, I'm sitting in my room with a needle in my hand just waiting for the tomb of some old dying man, like, it's hard not to picture a drug addict.
You picture it in a vague sense, but like I cannot disguise all the stomach pains and the walking into canes when you come up and you whisper up to me in your life of tragedy, but I cannot grow until you eat the last of me, or when will I be free and you a parasite? Just find another host, just another fool to roast. So you got the physical symptoms of his like withdrawal and shit, and the actual impact on the body is heroin, by the way. Heroin, everyone. And we just, if there were ads, we just lost.
Heroin.
We're not family friendly, but we're also not advertiser unfriendly, motherfuckers.
I love the little diddle diddle.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But what's okay? Because like, as much as he's singing these words, there's like this emotional desperation in both the music that is like that riff you gave is panic.
Yeah.
It's anxiety in a guitar riff put down, which is definitely a withdrawal. And you go from like him kind of like he's in physical pain. He hears the whispers and the creepings of like the drug craving coming in your life of tragedy. You know, it's not a good existence, but he can't grow. He wants to be free. He wants to escape it. He's almost begging the heroin to go into somebody else's fucking blood so that he doesn't suffer. And I'm
that chorus of pull the tapeworm out of your ass is the most fun thing to sing along to live. just a whole crowd of just yelling that.
I'm not gonna lie. For a lot of my life, it was a bit of a turnoff.
Oh, yeah?
I didn't like the line, but now that I get that it's kind of like pointing out like be stronger than your addictions. It's a bit of a counterance to the rest of the song. It's so hard to like not hate it. It's such like an anti-addiction anthem in a sense, and I'm like, it's the strangest one in existence. But given the whole song, it's so fucking cool. And yeah, I agree with you. It's cool now, but I did not like it when I was younger.
I will say that the song is just it's a little bit goofy.
Yes.
I love that middle section I love how it just
Which
gets
part?
so dark.
I am
Sitting in my room with a needle in my hand, like
it is the most moving part of this song.
Yeah, and the bass gets more legato and it gets really dark and really heavy. I'm gonna drop a 4.5 on this one.
Honestly, I like it a little bit less. If you consider like the full package of what a prison song and some of the other ones bring on this album, I just don't think it's fair to some of the bangers, like the true masterpieces, like by comparison, that Needles just doesn't stand up as well. It's a good song, like an interesting song, but like it was always one of my least favorite ones. And even listening to it now, I appreciate it, understanding what it means, but I give it a 4.25. I respect it more than I like it, if that makes any sense to y'all. Because it's sandwiched between two of like the best fucking songs on this album, and we got to talk about Dear Dance.
See America with this dire poor avenging disgrace. Peaceful loving.
This was a song that is so cool to me. I loved it so much when I was younger, but I didn't know what it meant. So let's Syd, you start this one, and we'll get into that after.
I love everything about the riffs in this song. I love them all. This is the perfect example of how you don't need to show off to sound cool, because literally, and the chorus is the epitome of what has now become gent, I guess, because it's just 101010101010101010. But so there's nothing complicated going on here. A 2-year-old could have written this, but the way that they accent it, and the way that they accent everything that they do, the way the vocal patterns go, and the way the guitar patterns go, and then the verses just slides, right? Harmonic, yeah, and like they get even sillier. As the song progresses, they get to the midsection where it's like, it's just so catchy. Everything is hooks, and at the same time, they're delivering this hyper political, hyper protest piece of.
I was blown away when I realized what this song was about. Police brutality.
Yeah, it's just.
They wrote it in 2001.
I am going to say that it is just it's a little bit too simple sometimes. The song hasn't stuck with me as well as some of the others. I'm going to drop another 4.5 on this one.
I'm going to say that like the drum patterns and the way this song is put together, it might just be that it's the first one I ever heard like it, right? Ever in my life. But I don't know. Everything about the alliterations and things like that, like circumventing circuses. What a cool way to start a song.
Protest.
And the way he like delivers it with that rolling R to visible police, present-sponsored fear. I was young. I didn't know this shit was happening. Battalions of riot police with bullet kisses, baton courtesy.
Bullet kisses.
Yeah, baton courtesy, service with a smile. But like, I've now seen protesters against police in my city and stuff, right? I live in Montreal. We have lots of protesters sometimes, depending on the year. Lately, not a lot. In the past, a fuck ton. But like, now I've seen it. Now I've seen the videos. Now I know what the fuck this song is talking about. Now I know. And I feel very much like it's incredible in the retrospect how applicable all of this is today, you know? But then I learned that Beyond the Staples Centers is in LA and shit. And one of the guys who watches our channel, I started talking to, and he lives in LA, and he was telling me like in LA, like 95% of it's hood. Like Beyond the Staples Center, it's just hood. You have that small part where they do the blow and they buy their whatever, they're smacking their shit.
Hello, YouTube censors.
And then like,
how are you?
They got the rest of it where it's like, and I'm not trying to comment on it in a negative way. I just didn't realize how poor LA was. And then beyond the Staples Centers, you can see America, like the real America, with its tired, poor, avenging disgrace, peaceful, loving youth against the brutality of plastic existence. And I'm just like, I mean, like the severity and the deepness of it, because I never had the context. Like, I always just kind of wrote the lines off as sounding cool, but I never realized how powerful it was. And I really wanted to draw attention to, how it's like this could have come out today and it would make total sense. Anyway. A rush of words, pleading to disperse upon your naked walls alive. A political call, the Fall Guy Accord. We can't afford to be neutral on a moving train, which is apparently quoting some political guy who said that you just can't be neutral in these times because it's bad. I mean, even the Bible has its own version of that, where like you're either like on heaven's side, the God or the devil. You can't sit on the fence. You can't. You're not. If you do, you've chosen your side. Your neutrality, you're staying out of it, is an active choice in support of the evils in most cases, is an interesting way to look at that.
Fair enough.
And that's just the interpretation of that idea of the philosophy he's quoting as I understand it, not necessarily what I'm believing. Anyway, it's just fucking... But then I learned a deer dance is like a thing that the native folk would do to like before hunting, to like increase like success of the hunt. So, you know, push them around, a deer dance, invitation to peace. What a contrast, right? Like, push them around. And he says it like so fucking like soft and almost nice, you know?
That's a deer dance, invitation to peace, war staring you in the face.
Dressed in black. And then with a helmet, fierce, trained and appropriate for the malcontents. Those are the protesters. For the disproportioned malcontents. They are not equipped to deal with this. But then, because we are who we are, a little boy smiled. And it'll all be well, you know? And we just take that idealism.
Little children with their fully automatics. Like it's
they like to push the weak. And then it kicks in hard.
It's great live. Again, it's a great live song.
For me, it's a 5. It's got the message. It's got the structure. It's got the hooks. It's amazing. I don't have much more to say. This song is fucking flawless to me. It's one of my favorites, and I forgot about it till we did this review. You have no idea the joy I've had this week listening to this album.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, Internet. I work today. I'm tired.
I work today, too. So there.
What's next?
Jet Pilot, because why were the... So yeah, I'm going to let you take this one, because if there was ever a song that I had a lot of trouble understanding at first, it was fucking this one.
This is a weird fucking song. And I never really bothered trying to find a deeper meaning for it. I'm sure there is one. I don't really care. Because System of a Down are the kind of band that like they want you to find your own meaning in songs. So, I mean, a verse like "My horse is a shackled old man," cool. And yeah. I enjoy the song. It's catchy, but again, it is one of the least memorable ones on the record, I think. So I'm gonna drop a 4 on it. That's fair.
And so if I were to comment just on what he said, this is like the chorus of Prison Song and Deer Dance on Blast with a smaller percentage of the media, the singing in the middle. And wired were the eyes of a horse on a jet pilot, one that smiled when he flew over the bay. I Googled this shit because you know what? I didn't know what this one was about. I went on Facebook and I posted, and a buddy of mine was like cocaine, and that was the only cocaine theory I got. I actually really see that now, so it kind of makes some sense.
Wired were the eyes.
Yeah,
I guess.
I don't know, but what was more fun was finding this fucking thread of like hundreds of people commenting on their theories on like songmeanings.com or something like that. And apparently, we know that a horse is like the carriage of a fighter jet in World War II. So that's a possibility. There's theories that the horse can see himself in the pilot's eyes as he passes by, allowing the horse to now actually see a greater expanse of life than he ever knew existed, so he smiles. That's another one. It might be a commentary on technology because horses are the old way of traveling, and like fighter jets represent the new fucking crazy way.
And they fly with horsepower.
That was like another one. And then like, cause they're like, yeah, well, the horse is shackled like an old man because he's old and he feels remorse that he couldn't see the things because the technology. And I'm telling you, man, the theories go fucking deep on this one. And I'm just like my source is the source of all creation. Her discourse is that we don't all survey the skies right before they go gray. My source and my remorse flying over a great bay. I mean, I get the sense that everything's connected. This is my interpretation.
And that's not the first time that
It's not
theme
the first
will come
time
up on this record.
Yeah, absolutely not. But it's also kind of like we don't see it all. We should appreciate it. So it's almost like as the horse notices, as he sees the plane flying, it's like he recognizes that life is bigger and more than he ever actually like understood, right? But he's coked out of his fucking mind, so wired on that.
Coked up horse.
I
love it.
I gave it a 4. I mean, I love the like fucking random internet goose chase I went on related to this song, but like, I don't like this one as much. It's not a poor song. It's just unappealing to me personally. So I recognize it's good and well made, but that's all it is. It's meant to be what it is, I guess. I don't know. How do you guys feel about this? I would love to know your opinions, but let's talk about DMX. I'm kidding, but like. Apparently, this is the immigration song. I say apparently because a lot of this is what I looked up into what the song was about, and I thought a little bit about the lyrics, but I don't know how much I know what this song's about. It could also be about overpopulation, but it makes a little bit more sense as a song about immigration.
Any and all these theories make sense. I really like this song musically. It's really cool. It's one of the more. It's cool because there's a contrast. It's one of the more technical numbers on the record, but at the same time, it's one of the more, I guess, Korn or Limp Bizkit or nu metal resembling songs. Like it would have fit perfectly on the record that came before this, and that cool little say doom 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 doom. Like I'm getting the timing all wrong, but that section's really cool. It's really heavy. I never really cared too much for the vocals on this track. They just never hit me, really. It's always been kind of a skip for me. But like listening to it for the review, like I know that I know the song because I know that I have listened to Toxicity from start to finish countless times, and probably this won't be the last time that I've done so. So I am going to drop a 4 on this song.
Again, I'm with Syd on the 4. I'm feeling very similar to X as I do about Jet Pilot in the sense that it's a lot of the more aggressive, raw. It's like the punkest that this album goes. It's just throwing shit in your face, but they're also very obscure. It's hard to like really wrap your head around it. So I don't really like that as much in it. I feel like I don't want to call it lazy songwriting because apparently X was ready or first debuted before their first album came out, and it took them that long to like polish it. And like this is years of like.
So that's why it sounds so much like the material that came before,
right?
And it fits so well with that first record. That makes sense.
Because like I don't actually. So, like, I mean, the lyrics are pretty simple. So we have we don't need to multiply, which in and of itself makes me think of overpopulation. And knowing that 3.5 billion people have been born in the time I've been alive is something that actually worries me. So I'm just throwing it out there. There's some value in that part, too. Again, every song has somehow managed to be somewhat almost prophetic in the way that it has approached its subject matter as being applicable 18 years later, which is fucking rare. Okay, but then you have the verses. Tell your people that arrive. Tell your people, tell the people that arrive. Apparently it's about immigration. I can see how that makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
But it was like, tell your people, tell you Irish, man, we don't need you to multiply, you know, if you think back to like the olden days and shit. That's why I picked the Irish, because it was so old. Show your people how we died. This is believed to be more of the Armenian genocide, which is worth mentioning, and Donald Trump failed to call it a valid thing this year. I just wanted to throw it out there because we're talking about this album. We should show some love to what they believe in. And it's just facts. This was a very recent thing.
They will probably reference that if and when they come out with a new record.
Probably. Ask your people what is right. And that is the most interesting lyric in this whole song, because at the end of the day, it's left with you to put the call on your own thing. So if you really think about immigration as an issue in 2018, it's like, man, Serge, you speak some wise shit. Anyway, so I really love that this album is making me think this much. But sonically, I'm not as into this track. And considering, I guess, what comes next, it's like it's hard to give it like a great grade. It's a 4. That means to me it's a really good song. And if you compare it against normal songs, it's fucking great. But we are comparing it against shit like fucking Chop Suey.
Is that next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave the kingdom on the table. Here you go, create another fable. You wanted to grab a brush and put a little makeup.
This may be one of my first favorite songs ever.
I just want to throw it out there. The first time I heard this song was not by System of a Down. It was by Weird Al Yankovic in one of the, I think it was the Angry White Boy Polka.
What you're talking about, it's awesome.
So that was the first time I heard I Don't Think You Trust in My Self-Righteous Suicide. And it was very goofy. And then I heard the real song, which is not goofy. And I fucking fell in love, man. This song still gives me shivers to this day. That outro is
like
sublime.
I literally
That's
have
the only word
shivers.
for it.
I'm hearing it in my head. I have shivers. It's just that powerful.
The harmonies are harmonies that any rock band should aspire to be able to write. They are perfect in every single way. The way the song bounces back and forth from aggressive to dark to sad to beautiful. It's just you know this is a song that every person has picked up a guitar and tried to play and probably not realized that they couldn't because the song is so down-tuned.
But even beyond that, because I actually at that time of my life had a tuner and was learning about those things, so I down-tuned and then discovered my fingers were never going to play that fast, and that was really the learning point for me because it's I could barely do it with my tongue, like. At the actual, anyway, go on. I still think we're both slow.
Yeah, we're a little slow.
So that's like, can you guys tongue as fast as?
I used to be a clarinet player. So that's it. This is a 5-on-5. I'm not going to harp on it for too long. You already know. Y'all know the song. You know what it is.
I think it's incredible that I never really noticed that we're rolling suicide. Why did they leave that in? What was the point of that? It's because the song was supposed to be called Self-Righteous Suicide. And then the labels were like, we ain't gonna do that. And then Rick Rubin left a thing like this, so you know it's legit, because it's Rick, And he's describing how he was all ready to go to bat for the band and fight this tooth and nail, and he was willing to fight this battle because he thought it was a fitting song. But then all of a sudden, they're like, yeah, let's call it Chop Suey. Now, if you think about it, Self-Righteous Suicide kind of has self-right chop suey, that's how they describe it, how in a sense chop suey fits into self-righteous suicide if you obscure the way you say it, and in a sense they pulled the if you seek a me thing in their mind, and that's why it was hilarious to them.
I think maybe in retrospect, and you can agree or disagree, but I think had they actually gone with self-righteous suicide, the song may not have been the international super hit that it became.
Which is fair.
The title Chop Suey is so vague and so ridiculous.
Ridiculous
so
scene in the video of them just eating their Chop Suey. But I always thought the song was about Jesus because I was young and super Christian when this came out, and I was in that phase.
They are not.
But the hook is about Jesus, so I'm not far off. It's the I don't think you trust in my self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die is kind of God, Jesus talking to God. So I was kind of right. But the other part, I was pretty far off the mark. So apparently this is kind of from the perspective of an addiction or a drug user or something. And I'm saying apparently because this is the theory I most agreed to that I could find. So the grab a brush and put a little makeup, is kind of covering up the mistakes of yesterday and whatnot. You're hiding from who you really are. You need that to cope and shit. Go listen to No Makeup by Kendrick Lamar if you want some proper context for that. Hide your scars to fade away to shake up. I mean, literally, it's what I just said. So it was justified there. Why'd you leave the keys upon the table? So this is apparently meant to indicate you fuck up a basic thing, you left your keys on the table, you forgot them or whatever, right? And then so in your mind you warp this into some fucking crazy big bad thing. So here you go, create another fable, another thing in your mind to justify and get out of it. But then they repeat it all with society and the average person condescendingly being you wanted to, and it's this perspective of, oh, you chose to be this drug addict, you chose to be. Sid was earlier describing it from the point of view of an abusive relationship. Yeah. And it totally applies.
That's the kind of thing that I always thought it was. Grab your brush and put a little makeup, hide the scars and fade away. The shake up always sounded to me like someone putting on makeup and sunglasses and whatever to hide
that's
bruises.
That's what the Kendrick Lamar song's about.
Yeah, and I'm sure other songs are about that too.
But then with the you wanted to, it still responds as in, oh, you put yourself in this position. So it does have that cool universal message flowing into the part where it's like, well, what did Jesus died for if these good people deserve to die and shit? But like at the then you have the Father, I command my what I
Which I do have to comment on, because that is, and he can reproduce that live. That is one of the best examples of how screaming can be just as difficult a technique to master as singing. And Darren Malakian just, Father, like he does 8 different voices there, and he does it all in one breath. It's really, really impressive.
So yeah, it's just like really fucking deep. I mean, you guys know it when the piano and shit kicks in at the end and it just almost breaks into like this soft emotional ballad of the harmonic overload. It's tear fucking invoking in my opinion. This song is a tear jerker. It's like the Notebook of metal, okay? Anyway,
I like that.
I'm giving this a 5 on 5. I don't care if you guys don't like this song. To me, it's
Who
flawless.
told you they didn't like this song?
I guarantee
Why are you being
you.
so defensive?
Somebody's-
I don't like this song.
somebody-
This song sucks. Fuck System of a Down.
If I put
I
this
only
on-
listen to Cardi B.
Hold on, if I put this on around Bonnie, she'll get real mad because it's metal. I mean, she knows it, but she doesn't like metal. So there are people who aren't so into this music.
But that's different, right? Like, there's a difference between not giving
right.
an entire
Okay.
style a chance
You're right.
and
You're
listening
right.
to rock and not liking this song. You know what I mean? Like,
I see
if
what
you're a
you're
rock
saying.
fan, what are you doing not liking Chop Suey?
It's fair.
Oh,
On the
no one
other
cares
hand-
about your hot take. This is a great song.
What
Go
about
fuck-
what?
No, I'm not gonna
let's
say
not
that.
go that far because we care about your hot
We
take.
care about your
In
hot
fact,
take.
you enter into contests with your hot take on this channel.
You can tell me to go myself.
That's true, and that counts. But try to qualify it. You can go fuck yourself because you're a bunch of pretentious fuckers.
Next song.
Bounce, pogo, 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 pogo.
Unannounced was the game.
This is definitely one of the first System of a Down songs I heard, ever.
It
One-
is.
It's.
It is exactly what you think it is.
It's. I think it's about an orgy.
It is about an orgy.
It should be about an orgy.
I mean, lyrically, it supports you. I went on a date with a girl a bit late. She had so many friends gliding
Brought
through.
my pogo stick just to show her.
But
a
it's
trick.
also the backing line is gliding through many hands. So there's lots of people, and she had so many friends. Okay. Then the second one, unannounced Twister games. Come on. Of all players with no names. I don't even know these chicks. They lined up double quick.
But just one pogo stick.
Oh, so you know what that means. There's only one dick. Everyone gets to play
Run
runaway,
away, expose. Oh, it's so exotic.
but just one pogo stick.
Jump, pogo, pogo.
And then, by far, the weirdest vocal lyric bridge thing you've ever heard. Oh, I like to spread you out, touching whoever's behind. So now, if you had any doubt, he's got one girl in front, and he's like touching somebody from behind. If you had any doubt, oh, that's what he's saying there. Anyway,
Now, this isn't the first song that they would write about random sexual encounters. It's not the last one they would write about random sexual encounters. I love it. I love it with all my heart and soul.
Google reverse gangbang. That's what this is.
I'm not going to give it a 5
No, it's not.
because it's so
it's a
dumb.
4 to me. 4.
It's a 4.5 because it's a chorus that is never not going to get stuck in your head.
But I
And
don't.
it's 2 words just repeated
It's like
over
6
and
words.
Jump, pogo, 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 pogo,
Bounce.
pogo, 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 bounce, pogo, pogo, pogo,
Down.
Sorry, up, down,
Oh,
down.
I was wrong.
Whatever.
5 words.
My bad. Point is,
I just find it obnoxious. I really
it
like
is obnoxious, but
I like the
you're
verses.
lying if you're telling me it's never been stuck in your head.
Oh, stuck in my head is a fair statement. Is it enjoyable? No.
It's there. It's a fucking earworm. They succeeded.
Okay, but that isn't a goal. I'm like, oh, great, we annoyed you. Like, I mean,
So look, I'm gonna drop a 4.5 on this.
that's fair. You're allowed. We don't have to agree, but we can go in the forest. You know the part where he's like, walk with me, my little friend.
Yeah.
I know he said friend until yesterday.
Okay. I mean, yeah, this is another example of Serge Tankian using his ridiculous vocal cords to their maximum potential, just up and down and all over the fucking place. And this chorus, man, when it comes in, don't even forget about it. Forget about it.
Honestly,
Just kills everything.
It's the last time the chorus comes in. That is it was the first time I'd ever heard an artist flip a chorus like
Yeah.
that, where the music, where it kind of pulls from almost the verse or the bridge part. And again, it was one of the first albums I heard, so bear with me. But it was the first time I'd ever heard that done in a song ever.
It's that mounting crescendo. Through the forest of denial, we made a lesson for a fall. Just look at us now.
And then, why can't you see? And then it starts off with the normal chorus riff, but by the end, it adds like a doon doo 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 doo, kind of like it picks up other part. And I've never heard it before.
It's
so
a very
cool.
well written song. Very well written, huge, just huge in scale, of super heavy. This was one of the ones that took the longest for me to really get into when I was a kid, but when I did, boy, did it become one of my favorites on the record. This is definitely a 5 on 5 for me.
I'm gonna have to ditto on that 5 because it is one of the coolest riffs on the album, one of the coolest distinct, like whereas some of the other ones kind of feel like they're piggybacking on the same style as each other.
Yeah.
Even Chop Suey a little bit. It's just the best version of that sound that they had.
Ish.
This is by far like a distinct and weird and cool experience. And thematically is where we start to get into that everything's connected. And I mean, this is... So there's again a few theories, but I'm going to go with the Mother Nature one, not the God Jesus one. So this is Mother Nature talking to like mankind and stuff. Like, walk with me, my little child.
I am inclined to agree with you.
To the forest of denial, speak with me, my only mind. Walk with me until the time and make the forest turn to wine. That's where everyone thinks it's Jesus. You take the legend for a fall. You saw the product, but then the chorus. Why can't you see that you are my child? Why can't you know that you are my mind? So it's like, come in here, take a look at this stuff. And I think that the take the forest to wine is that we have used the environment to produce miracles. Think about these cars. Think about it. If you were to show our technology to a caveman, it's magic, motherfucker.
The thing is, too, is that I think System of a Down are trying in a way to say that nature is God.
Yes, which I'm cool with. But I'm saying that line that everyone is interpreting as the Jesus line,
Yeah.
I think it's implying that we've used natural resources to do a miracle like turn water in line. But then we took our legend, this woods, these things for a fall. We've chopped the trees down and shit. We saw this great product. And then why can't we see that we're actually an extension of it? You are my mind.
And that's what I mean. I think the Jesus parallel is meant to be drawn, right? Like, I think they wouldn't have included those words had they not.
I guess
Because every word is intentional, right?
I mean,
And
I think it's meant to allude to the connecting Mother Nature to God in
Yeah.
that way, the way you're perceiving it. Whereas I think some folk are interpreting, and I'm not some, there are people who are interpreting it as that it's not about Mother Nature, it's about Jesus, the whole way
right.
through.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it is about Mother Nature being the God or the creator or the whole, and all of the things kind of, because it's, why can't tell everyone in the world that I'm you, take this promise to the end of you,
Yeah.
right? So we are nature, and nature is us. It begats us, and we begat nature. So to say that kind of replaces Jesus and the spirituality of all things, I think is the ultimate goal of the song. But again,
And that, honestly,
choose your own interpretation. That's
which
what
is
they want
cool,
you to do.
but I have to say I really dig your interpretation, but I think the granular point is don't fuck with the environment. You know?
Fuck with it.
We live
bruh.
in Montreal, and with the weather we see each year, it's pretty hard to deny that the climate is in fact changing. Notice I didn't say climate change. I said that anecdotal evidence of weather patterns in Montreal over the last 5 years have shown that the weather climate has changed.
He's super serious.
And it's fucked up, man. Go look at our weather. Like we had like snow last week, and then it was like fucking hot. Like it's fucked up in Montreal.
It's Man Bear Pig.
It's just like that. But yeah.
What's the next song? Sorry, you want to go?
No. Yeah, I was just about to say. Anyway, that's about it. It's pretty fucking solid. Great fucking track. You should hear this. It's one of my favorites. And then the next one, I had no idea what it was about. It's Air, Trees, Waters, Animals. ATWA.
Don't feel it anymore. You don't care about how I feel. I don't feel it anymore.
So, just to be clear, ATWA stands for Airs, Trees, Water, and Animals, which was an ecologist mandate begun by the notorious Charles Manson, whom Malakian has cited several times as an inspiration.
And also took to Twitter to post a heartfelt goodbye message when Charles Manson died, which he was immediately torn apart for by the social media warriors. So that's just a fun tidbit.
Well, yeah, you like this one?
I love this song. I fucking love this song. This is a great fucking song. This one I think starts to take things in the kind of direction that Chop Suey started to take things, and takes a little further in terms of melody.
Yes.
And it's
la, la, la. You know,
yeah,
like-
but I mean just in terms of the guitar as well, because really there's always a kind of melody in the vocals, but
Right.
the instruments tend to be a little heavier than they are in this one, and this one there's more gravitas in it, even though it's not just heavy open strings, low bar chords, right? It's like there's a little more technique in it. There's a little more subtlety in it. But it's almost like a 60s dance tune, and then it gets really, really heavy in the chorus. Like, you don't care about how I feel.
You know,
I don't feel that
it
anymore.
makes total sense that it's a 60s dance tune with the Chuck Manson family being a fucking 60s band. Holy shit, that makes sense.
So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and drop a 5 on this one. I fucking love this song.
I don't agree that it's a 5 personally, but I do like it. So I had no idea it was about Manson until I read it, and apparently it's kind of told from the perspective of Manson after his last appeals and shit have been finished. He's become a relic. Nobody you don't care about how I feel, so I don't feel it anymore. Because at the time Manson had been kind of expressing like, I don't care. He just doesn't really care about anything. He's so like sociopathic in a legitimate sense, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, he's kind of like just kind of going through the mindset of Manson, you know, like, hey, you are me, which is something Manson believed. Not so pretty. All the world I've seen before me passing by. Silent my voice. I've got no choice. All the world I've seen before me passing by. So he feels like at this point Manson has given up. He's not really willing to talk anymore. He's not really willing to be who he used to be and such. And you get this really just cool perspective piece from the perspective of Chuck Manson. It's just fucking crazy.
I love how
know?
you keep calling him Chuck Manson.
I like Chucky M. Like, I don't know. I just like to fuck with people's names. For me, Dave Grohl will be Davey G. Unless I meet him in person, in which case it'll be Mr. Grohl.
Sir.
Yes.
Mr. Grohl, sir.
But I like this one like more than the ones I'm not too fond of on this album. But like I don't like this one as much as any of the ones I like. So I give it a 4.2 because it's a cool song.
Okay.
But it's definitely one that you're either gonna like or not like, but you can motherfucking respect. All right.
Fair enough.
So let's move in to the next one. Go ahead. Yeah.
Go. Thank you.
I didn't say anything. You started. Shit.
So I have mixed feelings about this one because honestly, this riff is one of my favorite riffs, and I know I've said that. You know, I say that a lot, but this riff is one of my favorite riffs of absolutely all time. And then and just the way the vocal pattern comes in and mimics that, making two possibilities a reality, predicting the future. It's so well written. I fucking love the music behind this song. I do get a little annoyed by System of a Down kind of shoving their anti-science stance on people, because I think that the point that they've missed is that faith in science is a type of faith, as much as faith in spirituality is a type of faith as well. And I think that both belief systems are perfectly valid. So that gets me a little bit, but I fucking love the chorus. I love the melodies. This is musically, I'm gonna give it a 5 because I can't not give it a 5 because I really, really do love this song. I've loved it from the second I heard it up until now. I get a little annoyed with the idea. I feel like what the ideology is, because I could be wrong.
So I mean, I think it's a little bit of context, right? They must be surrounded by a fuck ton of atheists who love science. I don't know if you ever met that type. I'm talking about the guy who's pure statistician.
Yeah.
Because what this song is saying, okay, like, its science fails to recognize the single most potent element of human existence. Letting the reins go to the unfolding is faith, faith, faith. So what they're trying to imply here is science used to have faith mixed in back in the day. Like, there was a connection between, like, faith and science. Now, I'm not saying that that facts are bad, okay? I'm interpreting the song, okay? Just bear with me, folks. And what he's trying to imply is that you have a large subsect of people who have almost killed off the concept of faith inside of their hearts with the blind faith they put into science, which inherently is logic-driven and kills off as a part of their humanity. So it's an attack on the people who are like the pure atheists, fuck God, science is the legitimacy, I need facts or I can't believe anything type. Because
But see, I think that those types of people are a very small minority. And I also think that that's a huge generalization
hold
to
on.
make about
I would
those
say
types of people.
that you're very fair to say that in 2018. I remember that it was a little bit more popular of a pop mindset in 2001. Before Google, before we've globalized, before we all learned a lot, people were a little more close-minded, okay? Like,
on both sides.
but I'm saying that
On every side.
which
On
I
all
agree.
sides.
So I think that at the time when they wrote this particular song, it's a protest for what they believe in, and I love what they're saying because it is a counterbalance to what is slowly taking over as the pop. Like there are people out there who it's like pure facts or else it doesn't exist. And that is a subsect of people who are a vocal minority, but they're a vocal minority. So I think this is trying to like be a cautionary tale of don't forget about Gaia and Mother Earth and shit, which is also a fair and not the worst thing to say. So I love the thematic nature of the song because it provoked me and it made me think. But it at the end of the day is one of the really repetitious songs that doesn't work on this album.
You think? That Middle Eastern section in the middle.
But that part is really cool. But like it's one of the least lyrically interesting songs. Once like, you get the point, and then it's just kind of repeating it.
Yeah.
The verses are a couple of lines. It's mostly just it's mostly the pre-chorus and the hook again, and then that.
But then it gets so spirit moves through all things, spirit moves through all things.
Yeah,
spirit
I mean
moves-
it's
spirit moves through all things.
it's
spirit-
I'm not saying it's poor. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying that compared to like how they handled repetition on Forest, it's just not as good, and I have to take that into consideration.
I disagree. I love this
That's
song.
totally fine. I give this one a 4.
Okay.
So let's talk about a shimmy.
Shimmy.
Take me, I want life. Take me, I want out and away. I want to.
This song has such a cool fucking feel to it. Like, it's not like my favorite song on the album.
That's it. Like it is cool. I will give it that. But it is by no stretch my favorite. It is one of my friend's favorites. I will not name him, but he loves this song.
It's like a sin to love this song.
It's not. I like the song. It's a great song. All the songs on this record are pretty great songs. But
I mean, it's
again, this one's a little silly.
but it's cool, silly. Like
It's cool, silly.
It's mocking the hustle bustle of our pre-programmed everyday life. And again, in the mindset of 2001, it's a little more. In this case, this song, like it feels like it's relevant in 2018. But it feels like it made more sense to write it in 2001. Like it was more of a necessary thing to address in a subject matter, whereas now it feels like a topic that may have been done to death.
Yeah.
But to have to recognize that they may have been one of the originators of the doing it to that before it became done to death, you know?
Of the doing it. Yeah.
I mean, come on, education, fornication, and you are go.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love the way he sings it. I love the vocal inflections. That's the word I've been trying to find for this entire fucking podcast.
But you got it this time.
Inflection.
You found it.
Found it. On this song, so maybe I'll bump up the grade a little bit just because this is the one that gave it to me. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 4.4 up from a 4.3.
That's how you know how credible we are as reviewers. Hey.
Only the facts.
But yeah, I mean, it's education, fornication, in you are, go. You get school, get laid, do your thing. Education, subjugation, now you're out, go. You know, now you got to go submit to the man and be your thing. But don't be late for school because I'm sorry, I love that chorus. That chorus is one of the coolest
It's a good
ones
chorus.
on the album.
It's a good chorus.
But if you even like lyrically, I think me, I want a life. I think me, I want a house and a wife. I want to shimmy, shimmy, shimmy through the break of dawn. Yeah.
Through to the. That's what I really like that.
Is
I
it
wanna
through to
shimmy,
the?
shimmy, shimmy through to the break of dawn. Yeah.
That's really impressive to deliver. I
Yeah.
can see why Tech Nine worked with him. So ultimately, though, it's such a cool idea because it's like you just go through this whole pre-programmed little boxes on the hilltop style like fucking life.
And now I'm gonna go home and watch Weeds. Thank you.
Seriously, my cousin moved into a neighborhood outside of Montreal in a little neighborhood called Vaudreuil, and it
What's
just
that? It's exactly
it's
that.
Little box. You just walk through, and it's
On
like
the
if I'm
hillside,
certain that if you live there,
little
you see the
boxes
nuanced
made of
differences between houses.
ticky-tacky.
But when you go through these neighborhoods, it's like there's the one house you can identify as the model home, which never looks like any of the other ones.
You know what's really cool about that show? Side note is that in the 3rd season, they got a bunch of different artists to cover the theme song.
Linkin Park, episode 17.
Was it?
Yes.
Really?
The high-pitched weird one. It was definitely more of a electronic Linkin Park, but it was definitely that.
Fucking cool. Got bad after that season, as far as I'm concerned. But
I have to admit, the series finale of Weeds, complete side note, is one of the greatest I've ever seen on television.
is it? Okay, I stopped after season 4. Anyway, System of a Down. I'll get back to Weeds, I promise.
Yeah, so then indoctrination of a nation, subjugation of damnation. It's not like I want to give it more points than it's worth almost, I feel, when I read it as like lyrics like that, because it's underselling the value of it. But no, he delivers it well. It's really done. It's just a simple little ditty about the shimmy, shimmy, shimmy of life, 4.5 on 5. That's how I feel about it. It's a really cool song. I would definitely, I feel no inclination to skip it. But again, I think a part of it is that it's shadowed by the song that comes immediately after it on this record, which it's hard not to love the title track, Toxicity. I just want to start by saying I never noticed how many ahs there are hidden all over this song. There's almost not like a second of this song without an ah mixed into the beat somewhere.
That is fucking Rick Rubin doing his magic. The man is a genius.
I don't know.
Rick Rubin is not dead.
No, I'm saying was a genius. I mean, he did do the recovery thing. So depending on the beats he produced, Revival, sorry, and the beats he produced on Revival were a little lackluster in terms
That's
of awesomeness.
fine, but he also produced Berserk. So,
Which again
is a masterclass in production. However you feel about the song,
okay.
it is a fucking masterclass in. Okay, so he produced Slipknot's Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses, and that is exactly what he does. He adds all kinds of subliminal little touches to his productions that will get stuck in your head without you even realizing they're there.
Okay.
That is how Rick Rubin brings a band from good to amazing.
That's fair.
So I love him. And his big fucking beard.
I like his beard. Look, I don't want to disrespect Rick Rubin. I just think that what Rick Rubin was doing for a long time was genius. And then of late, the work he's touched has not necessarily produced the same results that it had for the better part of his career.
He's earned his place.
Agreed. So I give him his respect.
And not only that, but he's earned his spot, like, from Slayer to NWA.
Agreed.
Like, he has earned a spot across multiple different genres, multiple different niches, multiple different markets.
He's fucked with Linkin Park. He's fucked with everybody.
Everybody.
I mean, any name. He's the kind of guy that chooses who he wants to work with. It's not the other way around.
What are we on? Toxicity? Man,
Yeah.
I love this song. What a great song.
Yeah, so voices. Rick Rubin laced it up. Made it
Fucking
nice.
beautiful. Sorry, you want to go? You can go.
It's apparently about ADD, according to the band.
Hey, speaking of which,
But apparently it's also about just drugs and the system of life being evil and shit. I don't know. It's a confusinger song, like Conversion, Software 7.0. I always took that as commentating on the scary speed of which life and everything's getting updated. And working in the software industry, it's interesting how software version upgrades are very valuable. But then it goes looking at life through the eyes of a tire hub, so I had to Google that, and it's apparently the little circle thing.
Right.
And so it's kind of like looking at life through like that. Okay, I don't really know what that is. Then this is my favorite part of this review, is looking forward to talking about this. Eating seeds is a pastime activity. So I went to genius.com, and there's like a thread like this. People commenting about drugs versus how eating seeds is like this is what the original guy goes. Eating seeds may not be so popular in Armenia, but it's very popular in North America. This is where it got good. There are about 7 comments from Armenians going, I am Armenian. I am in Armenia eating sunflower seeds right now. What the fuck are you talking about? What I learned the most from this is how much the Armenians appear to love sunflower seeds. So if you are Armenian and you like sunflower seeds, please let us know in the comments. I would love to find that out. And what you guys also think about that line. But
I need to point this out there. I think you're getting the line wrong.
Eating seeds as a pastime activity.
I know. Eating like CEDES, like seeds, like cessation. It's seeds as a pastime activity. Like we are no longer looking at eating as something valuable and important. It becomes second nature.
Like even on like the sites, I've never even heard the line. It's seeds, like plants, like eating pills and shit. Like eating seeds, like sunflower seeds and shit as a pastime activity. Like I mean, if you can find me anywhere that cites it differently, I'm happy to accept your thing. But I have recently looked into this song. Multiple sources have it quoted as this, multiple debates. I'm willing to just say that with the amount of attention given to System of a Down, I would have found somebody that would have quoted it like that if it were that. So I'm not trying to just say you're wrong, and I would love to know I'm wrong here.
Quick break.
But they eat fucking sunflower seeds in the music video off of a table. And I don't know if that really like counts for anything here, but I don't think that they would have had an entire scene in the music video dedicated to eating sunflower seeds.
Quick. All right. So apparently I'm wrong.
Yes.
But I still feel like that should be the interpretation.
But since he's definitely... Why would they eat sunflower seeds in?
Because it's a cute little pun,
I left
right?
most of that in.
I still feel like that's a pun left there intentionally. Because I think the song really is about how we get so caught up in the hustle and bustle of modern life that we forget that the little things are just as important and magical as...
According to those loud and angry folk on the comment section, Darren and Serge have both said it's about ADD. But their version of attention of ADD isn't the clinical version, is what I found through the rabbit hole. So they actually see it as like a lack of focus and priorities, almost on a spiritual sense,
right? Exactly.
I suppose. So you're kind of right, but I do think that in this sense, eating seeds as a pastime activity is like kind of a little bit of a drug reference, a little bit of a aimlessness reference. Like it's an aimless thing to do. Like we just sit here eating our seeds.
That's it. Like the eating is now just.
But with the
thing
double,
we don't care.
But like specifically sunflower seeds, right? Because they're hard to eat. They take a significantly lengthy period of time. Again, I went deep into the comments. None of this is my ideas.
Too deep. Come back.
I feel like this is worth talking about, okay? Anyway, so then, because following that, the toxicity of our city. So I'm not saying you're wrong in your interpretation of the line.
Because I am right.
I actually think it is kind of in the vein of it. I just think that you were wrong about what the lyric was.
But I'm right.
And then, do you own the world? How do you own disorder? Disorder now. And that's a cool fucking grammatically, it is so fucking awesome. And then the best alliteration on the album, somewhere between the sacred silence and sleep. Somewhere between the sacred silence and sleep. That is crazy good alliteration.
Disorder.
And if you think about just the sacred silence and sleep, it's almost like death, like on the cusp of death a little bit, you know? Great imagery. And then, then it's like, more wood for their fires. And in the music video, you'll see some protesters and shit happening, burning garbage cans. Loud neighbors, flashlight reveries caught in the headlights of a truck. So you get like the sense of people doing bad things with like getting caught for a minute. And then eating seeds. Anyway, yeah. But look, it's so fucking amazing. And then at the end, when I became the sun, I shunned my race through the man's heart. Like kind of alluding that on the two ends of this, I saw Jesus may be religion is like the start of it all. Like God, like the idea of it was kind of detrimental to life. And that's what led to the toxicity. And on the other hand, it was more Serge's message is like a prophetic message shining through to our hearts. I kind of prefer the second one there. Either way, 5 on 5. Great fucking song. Love it. So cool.
I don't think that the rhythm section of the chorus gets enough recognition for how intricate it really is, the back and forth between the string instruments and the drums underneath. What Serge is singing, the do da do da do da do 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 da do do da do 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 da do da do 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 do. Like, this is one of the best examples of what System of a Down does so well, is to make these deceptively simple sounding rhythms that are actually really complicated and will take you a while to figure out how to play. And then just the most dizzying, thrashy mosh riff that comes in. When
I became, and I was early too. When I became the sound. Anyway, it's so good.
Again, a timeless song. I mean, I'm not gonna say too much more because I mean, you kind of covered the bases. But
and we had our good debate.
Yeah, but it's. And we were saying off camera, like, this isn't even my favorite System of a Down song. It's not necessarily my favorite song on the record, but it is a perfect title track.
And look, and when I say it's not my favorite, it's because I like songs more. But that it's like we're talking about a flawless song being less good or less of my favorite than another flawless song.
Infinitely replayable. It's infinitely learnable. It is one of those riffs that I think anyone who picks up a guitar for the first time and has heard the song tries to play. So yeah, it's a 5 on 5.
Yeah, I'm with you. Now let's talk about Psycho.
Let's talk about Psycho.
I was so wrong about what this song was about at first, and then I found out what the song was about as I've done on like literally every track on this fucking review, except for I knew what Bounce was about.
Jump.
Yep.
Pogo.
So yeah, this one is actually just not about like aimlessly doing drugs and shit. It's a satirical look at the heavy metal culture and the scene at the time, and they kind of sum up what everyone is psycho, groupie, cocaine crazy. That is what metal was. You know, I've met a lot of metalheads that like to tell me all about what metal is, and I think what Serge is trying to say here is metal doesn't have to be. And he's proceeding to use his commentary. Like, so you want the world to stop? You want to get fucked up? I get it. And I get it. Like, I'm not saying that I'm even trying to criticize the artist, but this is Serge criticizing the artist.
And it's funny, because System of a Down were so unique, even when they came out, that, like, immediately, because of the time and because of the grooves, people slapped the new metal label on them. And then, as their career progressed, people started slapping the progressive metal label on them. And they were just kind of like, we don't even necessarily need to be called metal. We don't care. We're making music.
Yeah.
We don't care what it is. You can try to classify us if you want, but it's ultimately an arbitrary and useless exercise. Yeah. And that is, I mean, that's part of the whole philosophy that I take towards classifying music in general, and I really feel like it comes from them.
I think they're one of many. I don't know if they're the only one who've ever blurred the line.
They're not the only ones that have blurred the line, but they're one of the only ones that have blurred the line so consistently and so...
I'm going to say I don't have enough musical history comment to even indulge the conversation. But if you guys can think of examples, I think
there's tons of examples. There are millions.
I would love to know what they are. But anyway, yeah. So Serge and his crew absolutely are the example of this. Syd, you are fully correct.
I am right.
But I love the line. So you want to see the show? You really don't have to be a hoe from the time you were a psycho, groupie, cocaine crazy. And like the song is kind of just repeating that a lot and drilling it in because. I guess if you're surrounded by this shit all the time and you're really just there for the... You know, I went to a rave, underground, illegal rave one time. And I was perhaps not sober. We won't go into what. And I met this girl, and she was dancing. And I asked her what she was on, because that seemed to be the question you ask at the rave. And she's like, I'm sober. I'm here for the music. I don't need the drugs.
Good for her.
I know, like
counterculture.
I had never met a sober person at one of these events before, and I think that's exactly the type of person that Serge is trying to convey is how we should treat the music. And like now, older and wiser, I suppose, I see where he's coming from. Especially if you take a look at the hip hop scene. I'm a rapper. We look at the rap scene and the way drugs and shit are. There's so much you have to be's and stuff. Oh, it's annoying.
I mean, look, I've always been a proponent of if you have to be on something to enjoy music, then that music is not really worth it.
But it's more like you have to sell the image to be part of the scene.
Yeah.
And this is more of a label executive sellout type move. It's not about purity of music. So I agree with you from the fan point of view. And there's no such thing as a music you have to be high for. There's just music that certain people feel the need to be high to enjoy. But then other people can love it when they're sober. And I think it's fair that like most of us are only going to like EDM after maybe being faded.
It depends on the artist,
But then
right?
there's
Like,
other people who just love the shit all the time. And
I'm gonna go on record here. I can listen to Pretty Lights any hour
don't
of
even
any
know which
day.
one that is. Anyway, so Psycho, because that's what we're here at with the system. I forgot. So honestly, this song kind of falls into my 4-on-5 category. The short, kind of screamy. We made our little point. It's a cool, fun song, but like it's sandwiched between two fucking singles. It's like it's a cool contrast between the two songs it's around, and it's really similar to like X and Bounce and Feel, I find, and I wasn't 100% sold on those few songs, and it kind of felt the same to me in terms of the general sound on this one.
I have to disagree on this one.
Have to agree.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I really feel like because of the repetitiveness of the lyrics, it's easy to overlook how non-repetitive the music actually is. But if you take the lyrics away and just look at the music, it's actually a bit of a left turn, because it starts with this kind of like slow, bass-driven build-up, doom doom doom, and then it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds and it gets to the psycho, groupie, cocaine, crazy, and it gets really really exciting, and then it comes down again. Right? It gets really, really calm in the verses and very melodic, and then it goes up to the chorus again, and then it does something they don't do on any other song, is it outros very, very softly, almost lush. And there's like a twin guitar, lick.
Psycho, groupie, cocaine, crazy. Okay.
And it outros on a whisper, and it's so calming and so beautiful, and it leads into this last track so well.
You're right, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. That doesn't... Anyway,
I'm giving this one a 5.
So I just put it out there. I respect what Syd's pointing out, because I didn't notice it, though. That's the thing, is I didn't really notice it.
It's hard. Like, you pay attention to the lyrics in this one so much that you almost miss.
I pay attention to the lyrics in every song so much.
But
that
I think a
almost
lot of
miss.
people do that with this song.
I get what you're saying, because it's almost misleading in nature on purpose.
Exactly, and I love that.
But there is 1/2 more, but we're going to talk about one more. So let's talk about Aerials. Yeah, I know what an Ardo is.
'Cause we are the ones that want.
Aerials. My least favorite of the 3 singles.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really cool song, and as an adult, I really appreciate it more now than I ever did when I was younger. But I can tell you, 15, 16-year-old me, not as into this song as I am now. Now, I was blown away by how well made it is when I actually listened to it just now.
It's a little more subtle than the other 2 singles, I think.
It's also lyrically repetitive. It's not, but in a good way, because it's not like I don't mind repetition in lyrics, like when there's a point to it, or like when it's delivered in a way where you don't necessarily notice it, right? Because he's so diverse in the way he re-sings these lines, he could literally say anything.
But the thing is, he changes it up every time.
No.
Aerials in the sky.
Aerials.
When you lose one mind, you free your lies. Aerials so up high. When you free your mind, eternal
That's
pride.
only at the end part. And he only has those 2 versions of it. And then prior, there's 2 times he goes, life is a waterfall, we're all in the river, one again into the fall.
We drink from the river, then we turn around and put up our walls.
I mean, it's a little bit.
Each time is a little bit different.
But I'm not,
And I
look, and
appreciate
again,
that.
I'm not trying to shit on it. I'm just saying that this was 15-year-old Holden's perception, just to be clear. I looked at it now, and I'm like, man, this is so interesting, right? Because this is the song that's like, we are everything. And if you take a second to like expand your mind for a second, recognize how you're all part of something bigger than yourselves, and like everything AA tries to teach you in a song, it's like fucking so cool, right? And then because I mean, you all know it. We are the ones who want to play, always want to go, but you never want to stay. We are the ones that want to choose, always want to play, but you never want to lose. And it's a super interesting commentary, especially considering that might be millennials in lyric form.
You mean us?
I'm gonna go like more on the younger end of millennials than like I'm on the older end of millennial. Like the cutoff is 34 years old, and I'm 30. So I'm on the older end, and I do think that at 30, I've found a way to move past what that's describing. But when I was 21, it was an apt description for my sense of being. But I don't think that it applies to everybody over the age of 30, you know. But I do think it applies to most people who are younger.
I'm not over the age of 30.
Right, I am.
It applies to me.
But like, it is
I am millennial.
It is a good commentary on like just how dissatisfied we are. But if you look at like something like the protest culture in Montreal, where I mean, for a while we protested austerity. I don't care what your opinions are on austerity, but when people were asking the protesters what their opinions were on austerity, it was almost like they were there to party and shit. Like they didn't.
That's Montreal. We will protest any fucking thing. We
But like,
love it.
and that's a good example of what this is. It's like you want change, you want to do this, but you don't even really know what you want. You're not satisfied with what you have, and that's I think really the interesting part of this. But then it like flips at the end. Now, apparently, depending on where you are, your version of this disc had 15 or 14 songs. Mine had 14. So to me, Arto, as the 15th track is called, and if I said it wrong, my bad, is just part of Ariel's, and that's how I rated it. And it's this beautiful Armenian composition piece with like chanting and stuff. It's unlike anything off the album, and it's like a little Easter egg of the homeland that they gave us, and it is by far beautiful. Like, it is a beautiful piece of music put together. Like, I never would have sought it out, but they snuck it at, like, the end of this brilliant album, and it's impossible to ignore how well it fits after Ariel's. And honestly, Ariel's, it's just this beautifully well-composed song. It stacks. It gets more and more progressively layered as the track goes on. More and more emotion gets packed into it. To that, like, the thing, like, it's so fucking great. Like, it just climaxes, you know?
The thing that's always struck me most about Ariel's is how musically it really feels like a waterfall. Like, there are very few bands that can convey the imagery of what they're singing or speaking about through their music as well as Ariel's does.
That's a good point.
So that's a transcendent kind of talent right there that proves that System of a Down once again are one of the most iconic bands of all time. I think.
I think too. Do you think?
Do you think? In terms of closers, I always forget that this is the closer on this album because I always knew it as a single, right? And it's a perfect closer, just the way to
well, but then you have Arto. Arto is the closer.
It is, which is yes, but just the
and then there's a pause for like 5 seconds. So I bet there are people who didn't even know that this, because this is back in the day when people put hidden tracks on discs, right? And then it just picks up. And so, anyway, Arto comes in, and I think Arto is the perfect end to the album, actually. Like, it's, we gave you all of this, your music, here's some of my culture. And that is cool. That is the best, like, sneaky I think any band has done. And System of a Down did it eloquently. But yeah, I guess it's a 5.
It's a 5.
It's a 5.
It's like, a 5.
There's no debate on that. So album close-up time.
I mean, we already did a bunch of this before we started, right?
What do you mean?
We pretty much talked about how iconic the album is.
Yeah, but this is for we do it again for those people who actually just click to the end and just watch the last 8 minutes.
It's a great album.
It's like I give it, okay, it's not flawless.
It's not flawless.
4.49 is what my grade worked out to be, because there's almost 2 switches on this album for me. There is, this song is fucking perfect and I love it. Examples being Toxicity, Dear Dads, for me at least, Chop Suey, you know, stuff that I fell in love with, Forest. And then there's the ones that I respect and can recognize they're good. They're fun to think about, like Bounce and like Jet Pilot, but like I don't necessarily like them as much. A couple middle ones like ATWA, and that's the album in a nutshell for me. 4.5. It's one of my favorite albums of all time, and I could listen to this album any day of the week under any condition.
That's it. I feel very similar. I mean, I think there are songs that I love because they're great fucking songs that are timeless, like Chop Suey, like as far as I'm concerned, Science. And then there are songs that I love because they're System of a Down, and I love System of a Down. Like Shimmy, like Bounce. They're silly songs, they're goofy, they show off System of a Down's more fun side, tongue-in-cheek, while actually, you know, some of them have a little more meaning, some of them really don't, I don't think. But I love this record as a whole. It has a lot of personality. It has more personality than a lot of other records, especially a lot of other records that were coming out at the time. So, and I think it stands the test of time. It's still, if you show this to someone today, they will still find a lot to love.
If you compare this against Hybrid Theory, which I know we both love, Toxicity stands the test of time a lot better than Hybrid Theory does.
Different.
But it does, because it's still a universally more acceptable album in 2018 to easily into, whereas Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory, I love it to death, dude. You don't like, you guys might
Hybrid
not
Theory
understand.
has the darkness that this album doesn't have.
But I think that Toxicity is kind of like a little bit more like City of Evil, where it's going to age forever and still be pretty fucking cool.
I mean, look, this album has Chop Suey. Hybrid Theory has Crawling In the End. And I think both of those songs are going to age just as well.
Songs, but we're talking about the full collection.
This album has...
here's an example. There's no fucking forfeit the game, blah blah. No, fuck 'em.
Points of Authority.
There's no runaway. And the fact that there is a runaway on Hybrid Theory and there's none like that on this album, I think is the example.
This song has Jet Pilot. I mean, this album has Jet Pilot.
But Jet Pilot's not bad. It's weird.
Runaway is...
Immature.
I mean, Jet Pilot is a little meh. And
Runaway is immature and juvenile, and there's a difference.
Listen.
Anyway, that's fine.
Now we're just one song from an almost perfect record.
Listen, I fucking love the album. That doesn't mean I love both these albums. Actually, I also like freaking City of Evil. Those are some of the classics we've touched on these freaking Rockin' Beards. So how about you let us know what you want to see us do in the future?
I will say, controversial opinion, that I think City of Evil is a better album than this one.
I give it a higher grade. I think objectively it's a better album, but I enjoy this one more. So thank you all for watching.
I didn't give my grade. 4.4.
Okay. Thank you all for watching. It's awesome to have you here with us. I'm pretty sure I know what we're going to do next week. I think Syd's going to like it when I tell him after we're done. Have yourselves a wonderful evening. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and you'll enter into a contest that we haven't announced yet. Have yourselves a wonderful freaking week, and we love you all. Bye.